When it comes to his addressing the spike in crime across the country during this interview, let's take a listen to his explanation on that.
They're Democrat-run cities. They're liberally run. They're stupidly run.
Liberal Democrats have been running cities in this country for decades.
Poorly.
Why is it so bad right now?
They've run them poorly. It was always bad, but now it's gotten totally out of control, and it's really because they want to defund the police.
What do you say to that, Congresswoman?
He wants to fully fund the police. Well, he could start by signing the HEROES Act, which is a package for state and local governments. I mean, we're very, if he's concerned about keeping local government in place, that'd be a good place to start. Again, total disconnect between what he says that he's for and he wants to accomplish and what he's actually doing.
So on the heels of that, Jonathan, do the facts support the president's argument?
They don't often, Alex. I mean, certainly, we know what he's trying to do here, both in terms of we could pick any number of topics today. The mail-in voting, that there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud with that. Let's remember in 2016, he alleged the same, that there was voter fraud then. He even commissioned a study that came back quietly months later, finding that there was no evidence of voter fraud back in 2016. You know, he certainly. We see him pushing for the schools, and to the Congresswoman's point, this is where there are a number of people around the president who really are pushing him to make a big investment here, to make schools sort of his issue, to try to really put his weight behind a big number, push the Senate, Republicans in the Senate, the House is already there, to try to have schools reopen safely this fall. Not just because, of course, it's so vital for American students, but also it would be good for the economy if the schools could be open, and therefore parents would be able to more fully return to work and not have to necessarily be at home with their child with the homeschooling. But he's resistant to that, and instead focusing on those schools that aren't going back and saying he withhold funding, which would be so counterproductive. And of course, all of this is because, Democrats charge, of his handling of the virus in the first place. That these are school districts that should be able to reopen had the administration better managed this in the first place.
I'll suggest that Roland was agreeing with you vigorously. He was shaking his head as to whether the facts support this president. But Roland, let me ask you about this. All the concerns about the spike in crime, the spike in violence, the president says the Democrats are calling to defund the police. How do you respond to that?
Easy. Donald Trump wants to run a racist campaign. Donald Trump wants to even go further than he did in 2016 by pushing those racial buttons. This is 1968 Nixon on steroids. When you look at him literally defending the Confederate flag, defending military bases named after Confederate generals. That's what he is doing. He is playing to the racists and the bigots. And now the challenge now comes up. If you are Republican, if you are conservative, if you are independent, if you are a Democrat, are you going to say, guess what? I'm willing to give this guy my vote. That's the real issue here. We can simply go down the line, the type of attacks that he is engaged in. And so you have so many Republicans who said, hey, I really enjoy deregulation of my tax cuts, so I'm going to avoid those things. He's not even, this is not even dog whistling. This is literally yelling. And so people need to understand what he's doing. And again, if you are that concerned about the future of America, your total focus has to be to make sure he does not get more 4 years. Don't make it close. Destroy him in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina. Do it in Georgia. Do it in Florida. Leave no doubt. Because trust me, a person who lies to the extent that he does, he will continue to sow seeds of doubt and discontent. He cannot be trusted with the reins of power in this country any longer.